Good morning, everybody. Welcome. If everybody could, you guys want to grab a drink? Uh-oh.
You're okay with that, Mike?
Oh, we need it for the live stream. I think it's in there we go. We're back on. First things first, my name is Karen Cook. I'm the Managing Director here at University Lab Partners. Thank you for being here today for Pitch Launch Grow. Pitch Launch Grow is OC's inaugural pitch competition for tech and life sciences. So really want to thank you for all being here today to support in the midst of these very special circumstances we're under. So I come with a really grateful heart. So today's event is brought to you by University Lab Partners and the SBDC Tech at UCI Beall Applied Innovation. Unfortunately, Julie Cranston couldn't be with us today, but as you all know, many of you have worked with the SBDC consultants. They offer no cost, no catch consulting with their top tier life science and tech consultants. So if you haven't connected with them as a life science or tech startup, you need to reach out to Julie and her team, Bill Waldo. They'll be more than happy to help you guys out. So a little bit about, oh, this thing died again. Can I have the other mic?
There's a little bit of feedback. You might want to put this in. Yeah.
So a little bit about University Lab Partners. We're OC's first wet lab incubator and medtech incubator. Really, ULP serves three roles in the community. First and foremost, we provide the 20,000 square feet of facilities and infrastructure to support life science innovation. But secondly, we really are a landing ground for life science startups, right, and innovators in the space. So we do a lot of events, thought leadership events, education, in partnership with the SBDC. And thirdly, we really highly focus on talent here in Orange County. As our companies are creating jobs, last year I think our 29 companies created 84 brand new jobs in Orange County last year. We feel like as an organization, as a nonprofit, we need to play an active role in supporting that talent development. So we do tons of high school outreach, college outreach, hands-on laboratory training courses, field trips for high schools. So really those are the three arms of ULP: the facilities and infrastructure, the events, and the land ground for life science innovators, and workforce development, talent development here in Orange County. So Pitch Launch Grow, wow. We launched this thing, Julie and I, over a cup of coffee, and we had over 70 applications this year. And this is our first year out. This will be an annual thing that we do every May and conclude in August here outside in Southern California, enjoying the really nice weather here. It's really been, in the technology, life science, and diagnostic space, 70 applicants, top tier, really. It was so hard for our judging panel to even pick and select. So, there was a rigorous process, and that resulted in our finalists chosen today. So for the tech track, we have Permittivity right here, Transect, Semantics, and unfortunately, Bluebox was not able to be with us today because I think they're in Spain, correct?
Yes.
For the life science track, we have Sinogard, Ardatus, Center, and Cryo Technology, who could not be with us today, so we had 0 out of 10. For the AST track, we have Triton. There he is. Now, Now, this event really would not be possible without all of our sponsors today. So I want to give them a few minutes. We have Showa Denko, first and foremost, one of our strategic partners located on the UCI campus. I think we do have a representative from Showa Denko. I don't know if you want to say a couple of words. Unfortunately, Mark Cross was not able to be with us today. Because of Showa Denko, we were able to open the AST track, the special track. So I want to thank Mark Cross and his team. Next, Snell, and we have Bardia here with us today. Bardia, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah.
Stand up.
Yeah.
We're live streaming. That's correct.
Hi everybody, my name is Bardia. I'm a corporate securities partner and co-chair of the technology practice at Snell Homer. We are a full service law firm. We have 450 attorneys. Okay. We have 450 attorneys across 15 offices. We really try to focus on startups and emerging growth companies as well as middle market companies. On the corporate side, I help form companies, take them from formation through seed, convertible note, safe, Series A through pre-IPO funding rounds. And then we do inevitably a lot of mergers and acquisitions and IPOs, so exits for those companies. I'm actually joined here today with one of my colleagues, Sarah Durber, who you'll see on one of the last slides in person just the event. She is one of our life sciences experts, was formerly a GC at a biotech company in San Diego. And as everyone said, we are a full service law firm, so we have corporate securities, life sciences, real estate, litigation, IP, and everything you need from formation through exit. We also do a lot of work with clients locally in San Diego and Orange County, all throughout California. We just closed 2 recent deals that are now public that we talked about. One is we do a lot of work actually with representing venture capital funds who we try to introduce to a lot of our company site clients. For example, we represent Blueprint Equity, which is a venture fund based in San Diego, and their $8 million Series A funding of Tabooty, which is a B2B SaaS company up in Idaho. We also recently just closed, Sarah and I, a sale of one of our life sciences companies called Drug Delivery Experts. They sold to Peace County Life Sciences out of Minnesota. These deals just closed 2 weeks ago, just made public. One deal we also just recently closed was a $40 million Series A funding round for a company called Cryo, which is a fintech company. And as part of our commitment to the community, we actually do a lot of work with not just UC Irvine's Cove Incubator, but we're also partners with the San Diego State ZIP Launchpad. We also do a lot of work with UC Hastings Startup Legal Garage. Sarah is also a big member in Women in Bio. Our firm also participates in Athena and part of the Licensing Executive Society in San Diego and nationwide. And that's it. We're really looking forward to meeting everybody and hearing your pitches. We had a really good time going through all your materials and selecting the finalists. So really excited to see you all pitch. Good luck.
Next, we have Todd Boylan, Chapman Pepper.
Thank you. Hi everybody, I'm Todd Boylan with Chapman Pepper. We are a full service law firm. We have 23 offices around the country, 1,100 attorneys, 1,200 attorneys. We help advise companies from formation all the way through exit, including negotiating financings, venture capital rounds, etc. My partner John Bradley, and let's see here. I'm going to make this quick because this is more about you and not us here. We have a very, very attractive program for startups, pricing wise. So one thing that I do want to tell you all is you apply to the program, and we offer deferred fees and discounted fees, which is great for startups. Right, we want to sort of be partners with you early on, kind of help you grow the company at a time when you need assistance, and it's kind of hard to unring the bell if you make mistakes early on, which is why we really think it's important to be able to provide advice to you at pricing where startup really can't afford, otherwise a firm like ours. So that's the seed program. Here's, if it ever comes up, some of the partners and companies we work with. Do a lot for Sixers, MIT, San Diego State. Oh, that's quick. Here are some examples of some VC transactions that we recently closed. As you can see, some of the numbers there. Some of the rankings. So good luck to everybody. Thanks to Karen and the team. Thanks to SBDC and the UCI. We're really excited to be here as part of the inaugural event.
Next, we have Monica LCC, one of the ULP's most valued partners here with Insperity. Monica, you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Karen, ULP. For those of you that already know me, I work for Insperity. I'm a certified business performance advisor, and I help small businesses create infrastructure when it comes to their people, HR, recruitment, and retain top talent. I work very heavily in the startup space, and so Insperity has different service models that meet you where you're at based on the life cycle of your business. So we are a complete outsourced HR company, and here to help you, whoever needs our assistance and support. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody, and good luck today.
It's a tech issue to my back. Sorry. Last but not least, I want to say thank you to Dave from Beall for PTS Advanced Life Sciences. And we also have Wilson CCA based in Pasadena process today. So thank you so much for being here. I wanted to say a special thank you for our preliminary judges. 70 applications is not an easy task to go through. So Bardia, Jeff Wharton, Sandra Laskowski, Kayvon Bearmoon, Dr. Rajni Halani, Dane, who's here, Mike Benedict with Co-Fund, Mason with Wilson CC, Mark Foster, Dinko, Monica, Ari Shen is also on ULP's board of advisors, David Friedman, Mike Hill, and Sean Sanders are all on our judging panel initially. So thank you so much. Now for the main event. Each company, all of our finalists will get 7 minutes to pitch their decks, and then there'll be 10 minutes of Q&A at the end. We have a timer right up here in front to keep everybody honest. And finalists, please be aware of your time as you're pitching. You'll see your screens in front of you now. We're going to start with our tech track. So the technology track includes software, hardware, communications, wireless, cybersecurity, ed tech, environmental technologies, information technologies, internet of things, media, and ad tech. Finalists in this category will have the opportunity to win a $20,000 cash prize and a $1,500 Insperity scholarship. So first up, we have Permittivity. Dr. Louis D'Artes, co-founder. Permittivity combines a licensed NASA technology with a team of seasoned experts to provide novel leak detection and monitoring methods for storage tanks and pipelines. Dr. D'Artes. Okay. Don't make me tell jokes. Get a few more glasses of champagne for that one. It is like, so focus on energy, just there's a couple of different camera angles for lighting.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all for having us here. My name is Luis D'Artes, co-founder of Permittivity, a startup harnessing the power of NASA.
Go ahead, your time
Okay.
starts now.
Oh, very good. Harnessing the power of NASA to deliver composite tanks and pipelines into the age of information. Can I get a slide? Oh, very good. Okay. Chemical leaks plague the tank and pipeline industry, and it cause detrimental effects. Very good. Detrimental effects to our environment, and they cost companies involved billions of dollars in remediation efforts, dealing every time one of these events happens. Just last month, many of you may know, an explosion at an underwater pipeline caused a major fire that was difficult to put out. Just in the Gulf of Mexico, which is near where we're based down in South Texas. In early 2019, an explosion at a chemical plant near Houston, Texas, disrupted the lives of 34,000 local residents, resulted in unsafe air quality, and created this plume of smoke that was able to be seen for over 35 miles away. Clearly, current sensors are just not doing the job in terms of detecting when leaks happen and catching them early enough, or even, and they're similarly incompetent in efforts to prevent these in the first place. Here's a map of Texas, my home state, and where Permittivity is based. Each of these red dots here indicates a known chemical leak occurrence. This happens extremely often. It's a major problem. Downtime, loss of products, there are leaks, and remediation efforts are just some of the costs that companies involved incur every time one of these events happens. Cumulatively, tank and pipeline owners lose over $10 billion a year just due to these issues. Permittivity Solution is a multifunctional IoT sensor that harnesses the power based on NASA technology that provides structural integrity monitoring continuously and in real time, and is able to detect the presence of leaks before they occur. The sensor works by placing an open circuit resonant sensor right on the tank walls or in the tank walls. They can also be embedded, and they can be wirelessly probed to determine the electrical characteristics of its nearby environment. So this allows us to not just detect when leaks occur, but also assess the structural integrity of these containers and predict and prevent these detrimental events from occurring in the first place. Our business model is based on the hardware sales of the sensors themselves, as well as that of licenses for the software to actually be used. Now it's clear that the current competitive products are not doing the job here. Permittivity is the only sensor solution that effectively provides the features needed, the critical functions needed to non-invasively monitor and detect leaks before they occur. The chemical leak detection market is expected to grow to $5.3 billion by 2027. Permittivity is aiming to double sales over the course of 5 years and result in a net revenue of over $11 million within those 5 years by 2027. For sales and distribution, Permittivity is working extremely closely with America's leading manufacturer of composite tanks and pipelines, NOV. With NOV, we will be leaning on their existing and established sales and distribution channels to enter the market. Down the road, we expect to grow into and establish direct contact with end users ourselves while continuing to nurture our partner relationships. Now, while the numbers alone in terms of the leaks that are happening is a pretty good indicator to show that there's a clear need for our innovation, we have engaged in an extremely aggressive customer discovery campaign, talking to over 100 industry leaders, while creating contacts with potential clients and potential partners, all of which have allowed us to really hone in on the right market product fit and validate our understanding of the pains in the industry. Now, ultimately, we aim to pursue the lucrative market of transmission lines and composite pipelines. However, to start off with, we're first tackling the more accessible market of composite above ground storage tanks, which also have a major leak problem. Permittivity was founded in 2020, but already in that short amount of time, we've achieved many crucial milestones. We won first place at a space and energy technology hackathon in Houston, Texas in 2019. In 2020, we won the Startup Texas pitch competition. We've successfully achieved or acquired a license from NASA to commercialize our technology, and we've also demonstrated the field readiness of our product and are aiming towards developing our MVP. And our goals for the next quarter or so include protecting our intellectual property, as well as beginning to engage in preliminary user feedback loops. We really have an amazing team at Permittivity. The core team is mostly consists of physicists turned entrepreneurs. Also on our core team, we have extremely experienced individuals such as Jing Lee Hicks and Nick Tillman, both of whom served as acceleration directors in space and energy at the Houston Technology Center, one of the largest incubators in the state. We also have an incredible and amazing advisory group, which includes David Reed, who currently serves as the CMO and CTO for NOV. So with our amazing technology and with our incredible team, Permittivity is bringing tanks and pipelines into the age of information. So I just want to invite you all to join us on our mission to mitigate these detrimental chemical leaks and their effects on the environment. Thank you so much.
Now we have 10 minutes of Q&A with the judging panel.
You have a mic, by the way?
I died, but I'll just speak now.
I can repeat the question.
Excellent. I'm actually from the oil and gas industry, so big question for me is deployment in the field. You talk about selling the hardware. Are you out actually embedding the hardware into the tanks and pipelines yourself, or are you handing it over to the customer?
Neither, actually. So the hardware can be deployed as a standalone product. You can just slap this thing on the side of the tank and it'll start to work. But really what we're aiming to do is we're working with NOV's manufacturing departments to actually embed the sensors in composite tanks and pipelines themselves.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure. Great question.
Hey, great presentation.
Oh, thank you.
So you talked about a license with NASA, and did that license, does it involve with defensible IP?
Yes. So the technology was actually originally based for use in space, developed by NASA, and we've commercialized it within certain fields of use. And our improvements and additions on that technology are defensible, or IP that we'll be able to protect.
Awesome. Is there any more IP involved from third parties that you brought in?
Not at the moment.
Great job. Can you talk just a little bit more about the analytics that you collect with your hardware? How you differentiate yourself a little more with your vendors?
Yeah, definitely. So the analytics, first and foremost, they can be collected non-invasively. So the entire sensor doesn't need to be in contact with any of the caustic materials. Additionally, it doesn't have to be inside the containers. And the data collection platform is IoT based. Okay, it's IoT based, so we collect that wirelessly and we interrogate that wirelessly as well.
So that's what this modular dashboard.
Precisely.
What they see on the dashboard.
So they'll be able to see the various metrics that they've been given access to. So the simplest form would be level sensing. A future form will also be structural integrity that's monitored over time. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's very good. Thanks.
Yeah.
the human capital management side of the house, have you looked into job costing, scaling for growth?
Indeed, yes. In fact, okay, well, that's gone. But the answer is yes. And we've actually we projected our EBITDA all the way up to 2027, including growing our engineers and the personnel needed to really get our market out to the end users. I'm happy to share that. Well, it's on over there. Very good. But I can definitely make sure that that's available to you after.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
No, thank you.
Are there sales now, or do you have customer commitments?
We have letters of support from potential customers, and we're working to secure the actual MVP to begin our customer feedback loops preliminarily soon.
Thanks for the presentation, really interesting. What are the regulatory tailwinds that you might point out to? Are there any regulatory benefits that you see helping the company or helping your industry now?
Yeah, indeed. One of the major regulatory guidelines are usually imposed at a state level, and one of those includes the constant or the regular checking of the sensors. And so you need to actually send a trained technician out there to just, which results in downtime for the operator while that gets tested. One of the neat features of the sensor is that it's simple yet intricate enough that we're able to remotely show that it's working just by pinging it wirelessly. So we're planning to work with not just the EPA, but state agencies to work to updating the regulatory guidelines and basically show them that this is something that can make that entire effort a lot easier. This is particularly true for underground storage tanks, in which leaks are very difficult to detect.
Would that require a rule change so that remote monitoring is accepted as opposed to physical checking?
Eventually, yes, but that's not a necessary component for us to enter the market.
In regards to detection of leaks with mass spectrometry or with more advanced technology, are you developing research to discover new ways of detecting leaks in addition to your sensors? And I'm not sure what your sensors are, if you're using traditional strain gauges to detect deformation, or if you're using other types of leak detection.
So the research that we're developing in short is yes. The early application allows essentially in function the deployment of a level sensor, which is a widely used type of sensor in the industry. But beyond that, more advanced to that, what will allow us to move into prediction is the actual study of the structural integrity of these components, as well as study of the emulsion properties of the actual contents of the tanks, and that last bit is definitely.
Thank you, Lewis, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the judging panel?
Any more questions at all?
May I ask questions? Is it possible or is it? No.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Transect. Desmond Wong. Transect breakthrough in electronic noise solved a long felt and unsolved need for power conversion in the integrated circuit industry, significantly improving battery life, sensors, and system performance that empower some unexpected but promising and intriguing devices worldwide. That again. Without BC backed, they've already shipped 1 million devices. Desmond?
I'm here.
Right, there you are.
All right.
So you hear me? All right, thank you. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Desmond Wong. I'm the founder and CEO of Transect. We make integrated circuit for power management. Me and my founder, Beall and Nick Hurd, capitalize our 110 years of experience to solve a long-felt and unsolved need for the electronics industry, which is noise. Noise is no longer solvable by conventional devices and methods, but is increasingly affecting our daily life. For example, is your heart rate monitor on your wrist accurate, or the apps on your smartphone capable to locate exactly where your loved one is? So we invented a family of devices we call it Transect to eliminate a new noise we discovered inside noise. We term it as switching noise jitter, or SNJ. So the green-yellow color of noise you see on the lower right picture is the SNJ. It was first improved in GPS system. Without the SNJ, the position accuracy of the GPS produced 10 times better accuracy, and the system run 25% faster. Since then, all our customer has been able to reach exciting levels of signal clarities. Our discovery has been endorsed by Bluebox, Tektronix, and some others. Bluebox is the world leader in IoT and GPS solution based in Switzerland. Eliminate SNJ matters because it enables system to run faster, more accurately, and more reliable. That means less energy is needed. It represents a TAM of 30 billion at least. I'm going to show you the unexpected but promising progress of medical monitors. For professionals, Transect heart rate monitor is the de facto standard. The wrist-worn optical heart rate monitors are notoriously inaccurate. The common method to make it marketable is to add more LEDs, pump per. There's a paper from Philip Research and the Department of Personal Health in Netherlands. They compare a number of famous brands of devices on the market, but none of them fulfill the clinically acceptable performance. So it's proved it is ineffective and wastes power. So Transect target the noise in power supply because the signal variation caused by the artery pulse is less than 0.086 dB. It is very vulnerable to noise interference. A customer converted their own design with 3 LEDs into 1 LED with our filter, with the everything originally same. Then they are now able to pass not just 1, but 4 criteria essential for clinically acceptable performance. And now this technology already accessible to people because you can find this product in all REI stores nationwide. like the one in market space, you may be already familiar and something like that. So this suggests Transect has a competitive edge over our rivals because we empower our customer branding and enhance user experience. Like this online review, like happy customers say the heart rate is 95% accurate, the best ever used. Without VC back, without marketing, we only ship more than 1 million devices. Transect Pride footprint present in all major markets globally. We have tier 1 brand luxury goods customer in Switzerland. And we also have major EMS customers like Canon Electronics, USI, and Foxconn. The Transect Pride product has been able to, the Transect Pride product has been able to enable our customer to experience a very high level of confidence and experience and is constantly our customer experience in accuracy and reliabilities. We have more than 10 references on market, for example, whether or not we are talking about watches, medical devices, even pet trackers, dining monitor, and now even 5G. Our customer experience a very high level of confidence in the signal clarity in using our device. And very soon, the world will have one more evolutionary device. It is the world's first perpetual self-charging wristband. This is called Mother. It's going to be made by Canon Electronics in Japan for Metaron. Kansai University Hospital, Medical University Hospital in Japan, they shall be the world's first staff doctor. And because important, this device has 5 Transect Pride devices in it. So Transect is locally verified. People say Orange County is the medical device capital of the world.
Thank you.
All right, so
All right, now for
we look
Q&A.
forward to what will be on Canada. Thank you. Let me talk.
Thanks for the great presentation. Distribution. Are you directly distributing to customers like Canon, or have you got an OEM partner that is taking the wide products?
We do both. Yeah, we have direct customer, and we also have distribution in Asia. We have our distribution cover Asia, Japan, but we don't have distribution in Europe now.
And long-term strategy, will you distribute direct to customers, or will you build a technology partner that's providing other technologies?
Long-term, in terms of sales, the long-term strategy will still pretty much the same. We will adopt both direct customer and through distribution. Depends on the terms. But of course, some customers choose to directly with us because they see it's better term, not really distribution. But some will need, depends on who is the EMS. For example, if the EMS is very big, like Foxconn or USI, it's better to go for distribution rather than direct. Yeah, that's it.
Great presentation.
Yes.
On the exclusivity front, how old is your IP? Around when was it filed? And how is there work being done now in order to, whether through IP or other means, extend the exclusivity of the technology?
Good question. So our IP is pretty fresh. Some of the majority just rebranded this year. Now we already hold 5 patents. One is pending, should be granted very soon, and some more are coming. Yeah, so the very key thing is for us, because we are the very first to discover that noise and then invented devices to handle noise. The strategy on the IP portfolio is very important for us too. Yeah, we are going to keep increasing.
Do you know when the expiration dates on your current IPs?
We still have 18 at least, 18 years to 19 years. Yeah, we already got both in China and US.
And then congrats on that billion units sold. That's a pretty good feat, especially with that funding. Have you faced any issues with chip shortages, and or do you anticipate any issues with chip shortages right now?
Of course, we do. Unfortunately, many companies, including our customers, are just trying to keep up on the position. But so far we are still good. Our lead time 24 weeks instead of some other more than 36 weeks. And we already have kind of had on all our key material suppliers for at least a year.
And how is that? Can you hear me? Yeah, it's better. Has that impacted you as far as like customer acquisition? Have you had people kind of fall off a little bit because of delays, or and how has that impacted like your revenue?
Yeah, it does. For example, originally this year ago we shall approach $1 million sales, but we are only able to do half of it this year because one of our customers can't get any supply from other suppliers, so their production basically is paused. But they will come back next year. Yeah, that surely has impact to everyone, especially to small to medium-sized company. This is our sweet spot. Small and medium-sized is our sweet spot, but they impact the most.
Yeah, that's helpful. Now, one more question is, and notice, it's hard to take off the lawyer hat sometimes, but I noticed you reference medical device a few times. Are you guys going for like 510K FDA clearance for like non-invasive med device? Have you done that yet? We thought about that.
Not by us, because this is not our product. It's because our customer is the medical device company, so they will, it is their responsibility to go through FDA whatsoever.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So can you address some other addressable markets aside from just the medical device? Is there a military application? Or other markets you're thinking of?
Basically, we have no limitation because everything needs power, everything needs signal clarities. So I give you example. We already have customer in making watches, pet tracker, security system, signage monitor, health tracker, security system. Many others. And the one I just mentioned, the mother. Without need to charging is also some innovation. Many of our customers are basically doing innovation things. They really like to talk to us to reach a new level of performance against their competitors. Yeah, this is usually what happens to us.
Who's manufacturing your chips right now?
Yes, we have 2 sites. Or we have 2 types of device. One is active, meaning it needs power. Like our filter is passive, it doesn't need any power at all. All our active devices are manufactured in Japan. And then our filter are manufactured in Thailand. And for your information, and we are very glad to have the big company, manufacturing-wise, supporting us because we are tiny. We are nothing to them. This is ours too. But I'm glad we are pleased to get them support to us because, like for example, one of our manufacturers, they do billion of device a month. But still, they like our product. The way they support it is kind of like they also invest on it, but no directly from it. They like us, so they just help us to produce our product.
how difficult is it for the customer to integrate the chip into their existing products? Does it take a lot of support from you, or is it pretty?
So it's just very simple because it's just a power conversion device or filter. They're already familiar with it. They just take out whatever they're using, pop our device in, connect to the wire. That is the first step, of course, right? It's just give it power and it's run. But our sales process, the most difficult thing is not supporting our own product. Interesting. And it's also related to customer experience. Whenever we get involved, they will open their book and tell us very detailed on how do they do the design and what problem they encounter in the overall system related to noise. Then we help them to analyze the whole system architectures and suggest them where would be the best place to apply a filter, our regular, our power conversion device. We have more than 10 part number, so this is also our advantage. So when customer trust on us, they tend to use more device from us. I give you a number of examples, 1 to 5. For example, the watch, the smartwatch we are wearing on your hand, typically it needs at least between 10 to 15 of different type of power management devices. Our customer typically use ours. Our device will usually occupy about 70% of the BOM regarding the power management BOM. So this is our advantage over our competitors. Yeah.
What's the current cost?
Okay, I give you some number because I think this is on YouTube, right? The general norm, so our sector belongs to analog integrated circuit. So analog integrated in general is having higher margin than the active silicon. So I give you an example like TI. TI is the leader in terms of analog integrated circuit. They are the top notch in terms of profit margin and of course their cost. Our cost is higher than TI, of course, because we use a fab. But however, we are in the top notch in terms of profit margin across this semiconductor industry. Yeah, I call this very low. Very, very low. Sorry, yeah.
Okay. 20 seconds. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you.
Next, we have Vincent Mantex, Melina Urita, co-founder. Vincent Mantex is an AI solution for financial institutions, which helps to identify mistakes in very complex data systems, finding the root causes, fixes all damaged data resulting from those mistakes, and preventing them in the future. Melina?
Think about this. How many transactions are happening around us? In our phones, in our watches, online, everywhere. Millions of transactions are happening right now. But what is the infrastructure behind? Yes, banks has a very huge, complex IT systems. The most part of the systems were developed many years ago. They require a lot of manual work. Manual data input, manual data transferring from the one part of the system to another part of the system. Manual support of the system. As a result, a lot of small mistakes. It seems so simple, We just need, and the banks just need, to update their systems. I'll give you one example. Knight Capital Investment Bank decided to update their legacy system. They developed a new version with a lot of fancy features inside. In 1st of August 2012, they went live. How much do you think they lost in 1 hour because of this one small mistake in their new version? $440 million. In 1 hour, that capital lost their business. The small mistakes can bring to the huge problems to the banks. Last year, the banks spent more than $150 billion solving all the issues related to the mistakes. Our solution is an AI system based on the graph databases that works in parallel with legacy bank system. It's like a GPS in your car when you are the main driver and you suddenly found that you're in the wrong place. The system will help you to bring you to the right route and stay on the right way. Same as us. Our system can help to find the mistakes, find the root cause, and help to fix all the damaged data between that. And without any interference to the bank's legacy systems. Additionally, our system helps to prevent the similar mistakes because of AI solution in the future. Our solution can work also in the other industries. I'll give you one example with the healthcare. We have already received the request from the several healthcare providers. They have the same issue. Legacy issues, legacy systems, big infrastructure, a lot of manual input, like in doctor offices, in hospitals, in lab tests. But the difference is in the healthcare, the cost of the mistake is life or death issue. We have the key value propositions. First, we help the banks to reduce financial losses. In average, each bank is spending $50 million annually to try to solve the mistakes. Second, we help to reduce financial costs. The banks every year has to hire more and more data analysts who help to find manually these mistakes. And the last one, we help to improve the reputation and build trust. No dollar value on losing can be a sign of losing the trust. We have an amazing team of superheroes with a great experience in software development in fintech, like experience working in IBM and Oracle. We have experienced data scientists and AI experts. And the most important, we have experiences in launching the startups and at the same time to work with global corporations like Deutsche Bank or Fidelity. The total market in the United States is $75 billion. Our goal is to achieve 2% of this market. This is on the banking industry. If we achieve that in 5 years, our revenue will be more than $500 million. And we're pretty sure in these numbers because our solution already passed the proof of concept. And we already have first clients who are waiting when our solutions will be ready. And also, this is number only for the banking industry. There are some other insurances, brokerages, and there's other industries like healthcare. The competitors. There are some solutions in the market we found, but these solutions can work with a simple structured data, and they fail when the data became more complex. We have a unique algorithms that helped us to work, AI algorithms that help us to work with the abstract data. So we can manage the big data streams and solve many issues at the same time. This is some critical looks to our financials. We are going to be profitable in 3 years and achieve the margin at least more than 50%. But these numbers are very conservative. So we are really conservative presenting these numbers. We are looking for the $2.3 million. This money will help us to build the full enterprise version and go to the first clients. And this money will help us to become profitable. Right now, the banks and financial institutions, they achieve already that breaking point where their financial losses started to cost them huge amount of money, and these costs are growing. At the same time, we have AI solutions are coming that can solve such kind of analysis in such kind of the problems. We welcome you on board. Join us on this exciting journey. Thank you so much. I'm ready to answer your questions.
With the technology being deployed in the customer IT infrastructure, what are the barriers to actually getting the IT teams to share their data, plug your tool into their existing system?
I'll show you this infrastructure. So actually, we are experienced consultants that are working with the banking industry more than 10 years. And our solution is working without any interference to their legacy system. So we are not touching their system. And it took us about 2 years to build this solution for that. And the main part of this solution is AI, graph databases, and a different kind of interfaces. So we can work with a different system, because usually inside of the banks, they have several systems. They don't communicate to each other.
Got it. So regardless of the current bank's legacy infrastructure or changes in workflow once you've been deployed, your tool continues on the run.
Thank you for the question. No changes in their work, and this is our benefit. That's why we have already first customers or banks who really want to have these solutions, because they don't need to change anything. It just helping to find the mistakes inside of the system, between the systems, and help to fix all the damaged data inside. We don't interfere into their systems.
Thank you, great presentation. With the adoption, slow adoption of blockchain technology minimize the returns that your system would give the customers?
Thank you, good question. As you can see from the architecture, there is no blockchain yet, but we are thinking about, because we have received some requests, for example, from the healthcare industry, and maybe this blockchain part will be like local blockchain. So maybe in the future we will implement, we think about that.
So you're currently thinking about how you can adapt your current workflow to blockchain technology.
We have some ideas, but for the banks industry and the current solution, so we don't have these requirements. So they just want to, have the clean, very good quality data. So, and they want to be sure that this data contains no mistakes.
Hi, really nice job. I also really liked how you did, how you showed kind of what your funding milestones would be and how you bootstrap today. That's really good to see. Can you talk about just a little bit, like what is like your biggest barrier to entry with a customer, any customer? How hard has that been to kind of break into kind of an archaic platform?
Thank you. Actually, because we have been working with the banks for many years, more than 10 years. The idea came to us 7 or 8 years ago. And we tried to find the solution because the banks or financial institute, they don't want to change their system. It's very expensive and a lot of risk behind. But at the same time, so they have to solve all this issue we can see every day. And it took for us, so we started to develop this architecture like 2 years ago, and required a lot of high-level experts to come through that. So for now, we don't have any barriers because the customers are waiting when the solution will be ready.
Have you had a customer say no to you yet?
We have customers who said yes, and show to you.
So
Hello? The interesting part, as soon as we find the solution, how to work with our potential clients without changing the systems, so we stop to hear no. So both they say yes, and even we didn't expect that we will see some customers from the healthcare industry because they have huge problems there. And because we can work with abstract data, so actually we can work with a different kind of data. So for now, we, as you can see, we hear yes.
Thanks. That was really good. I was just curious if anybody had said no to you yet.
It was before, but for now, so as soon as they see the solution, they said we want to have it.
So I was gonna say, if you're 100%, then I think you're probably gonna get a bunch of job inquiries. If you're 10 for 10 on pitches or whatever that is. So.
That's why we are so sure for the market. The only thing we need to develop the solution to make it fully enterprise version, and we have very good experts in our team who can work with solve the security issues. So we already solving such questions. So yeah, so I really hope soon this version so will be available for everyone.
I was curious about the accuracy of the system, any downtime that you see in smaller companies with maybe not the resources of a larger one. Have you run into
Alina?
Thank you.
Okay. Actually, yeah. So now we have a partners behind us. So who are business consultants and they are founders of our technology. So now our team is about 10 people, enthusiasts, but we have a really great access to expand and develop the team. So we developed the core solution, we developed the first version and could go through the proof of concept with our first clients. So we have already full understanding so how to expand our team.
Could you tell us how you measure the total addressable market?
Yes, so there are different numbers. We just measured, it was from the Gartner analysis. So they calculated that in average, the banks are losing about $50 million every year, and these numbers are growing. So we just calculated the number of the banks with that number. So that's how we come to the total number is $175 billion in global. But actually, this is only banks. And in the United States, the banks, most of the banks are bigger, so they're global branches. And we think the market is even bigger. We didn't calculate the insurances, brokerages, asset managers. So this number you can see here, it's only for the banks.
So the total addressable market is equivalent to the amount of losses that are suffered.
Yeah. So it's their losses they're trying to suffer from that. Yeah. So this is what their annual spending.
My other question was: is the software customizable? Do you have to go in and provide consulting services when you deploy this software to the customers?
Yeah. So I can show you. This is our go-to-market strategy. And first clients we want to get as a pilot projects from our network, personal network. And then so we are going to expand this network with the references. And only on the third stage, we are want to start to advertise, bring bigger market.
When you deploy the software, is it on premises? I assume. You license the software, send a piece of software to the customer that then puts it into its own systems.
Yeah, this is a licenses fee model. Yeah, so because we already get the proof of concept, I can. Sorry, okay, so actually we have developed a business model, and we have a different size of the licenses from the different size of the banks.
And is it plug and play, or do you have to actually, work with the customer to try to customize and parameterize the software to make it work?
Yeah, so we have to work with the customers. So it will take, for the first customers, we think about 6 to 9 months. So to get the system, because we are not touching, we are building the infrastructure around. But for the future customers, it will be much faster.
What kind of level of software support required to actually software, and how is the team sort of equipped to be able to support multiple customers as your customer base expands?
Yeah, actually, we already experienced business consultants with the IT, with the fintech financial institutions. So we have experienced sales in our team who has their first clients already ready for us. And Coach better answer. We have already done a lot of other projects related with the high-tech and doing implementations with the bank systems. So we experienced on that. And our founders, so we are professional, our co-founders, they are also professional sales. For example, I've been working with the financial institutions more than 15 years. So we understand their problems, we understand their requirements, we understand their level of security, so we need to provide. So, and also we already have built the trust with our clients.
So if there's a bug in the code or something changes with the customer's code that causes the software to be to have an error or not working, you said that business partner that you work with, they're the ones that will help support.
No, we have all in-house solution. So everything, from the coding is our in-house.
Hi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah. So answering. Okay, I can answer to your question after the session.
Unfortunately, our next finalist could not be with us today because they're based out in Spain. It's Bluebox Solutions. We have a video. They did record a pitch for us to play. So, we have it. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
The dogs being able to smell cancer. Well, I have. And in fact, this is what inspired me to build what is now called the Bluebox. Good morning, everyone.
And in fact, this is what inspired me to build what is now called. Good morning, everyone. My name is Teresa. I'm delighted to be here today to the Bluebox, a new future medical device for in-home breast cancer testing.
We need to provide. So and also we already
actually inspired the way that dogs are able to see. But first, let me tell you why does the world need a Bluebox? Well, it turns out that in this world, 1 every 8 women will have breast cancer at least once in their life. And we have this number pretty high. We are not enough. In fact, most healthcare systems in this world still use the mammogram as the gold standard for breast cancer prevention. However, has anyone here ever taken a mammogram?
I can answer to your question after the session.
I'm guessing not. In fact, if you check the number for breast cancer screening absenteeism,
Unfortunately,
numbers
our
are
next
pretty
step might
discouraging.
not be
And if you ask women why, 46% of them will tell you their absenteeism is because of the pain. Additionally, although its irradiation dose is not substantial enough to be considered harmful, continuous exposure to the mammogram can actually trigger cancer. Finally, in the specific case of my country, 93% of breast cancer suspicions after mammogram in fact, this is what inspired my head because there is an urgent and tangible need. Everyone, my name is Dialectic Resistance that fully understands these two needs. And we ensure medical that in breast cancer testing that has high sensitivity and specificity was actually inspired that way dogs are able to get screened pain-free, like free, worth of their Bluebox. So, how do you do that in this world? Well, once every 8 minutes, dogs have to use the smell of body and this number we, in fact, in the medieval era, doctors actually, in fact, most healthcare systems in this world, actually, doctors don't the gold standard for breast cancer vaccination. However, has anyone here ever taken a breast cancer? This is a modification. In fact, if you check the number for breast cancer screening absenteeism, numbers are pretty discouraging. And if you ask women why, 46% of them will tell you that absenteeism is because of the pain. How do we capture the additionally, although its irradiation dose is not substantial enough to be considered harmful, continuous exposure to the mammogram can actually trigger cancer and breast cancer prevention. Finally, in the specific case of my country, 93% of breast cancer screenings after mammogram in fact, this is what my head because there is an urgent box. Good morning, everyone. My name is that your understands to and we medical that breast cancer that has now sensitivity and specificity is inspired that way dogs are now to get screened pain-free like free studies for worthy of start breathing. So, how do you generate that musical once every 8 minutes then dogs now have to use the smell and this number and then in fact, most healthcare systems in this world doctors use the gold standard for breast cancer vaccination. Has anyone here ever taken this is a modification. In fact, if you check the number for breast cancer screening absenteeism, numbers are pretty discouraging. And if you ask women why, 46% of them will tell you that absenteeism is because of you. How do we capture the additionally? Although its irradiation dose is not substantial enough to be considered harmful, continuous exposure to mammogram can actually trigger cancer and breast cancer. Finally, in the specific case of my country, 93% of breast cancer screenings after mammogram is Good morning, everyone. And we medical that breast cancer that has sensitivity and specificity and that way to get screened pain-free like free studies for breathing. So, how do you generate that musical Once SBDC pronounce it, then it's now how they use the software. And we just now reconstruction, and then it's in fact, most healthcare systems our support currently has the gold standard for breast cancer prevention. You will hear ever taken. This is our modification in fact by checking the number for breast cancer screening accident. And they ask me many times, 96% of them will tell you that doing is how to although it's irritating, though it's not essential enough to get into the timeline. So continuous exposure to knowledge can actually trigger changes in breast cancer. In that case, like 93% of
Oh, that's me.
All right, so the life science track includes companies operating in the fields of drug discovery, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and therapeutics offering innovative products and services. The finalists have the chance and the opportunity to win a 1-year sponsored lab bench at University Lab Partners and $1,500 from Fisher Scientific as a product credit for any consumables in the lab. So first up, we have Diana Tucker with Sinogard, CEO and co-founder. The problem is that after a lumpectomy, radiation is required to kill any remaining breast cancer cells. Radiation causes permanent cardiac damage, cosmetic defects, and is costly and inconvenient so many patients don't finish their treatment. The issues result in reoccurrence. So Sinogard has a solution. Is to destroy any cancer cells at the same time as surgery while in the OR using a different but proven energy source. It causes no cosmetic defect, nor cardiac disease, or requires any follow-up visits, so that patients completing their therapy are no longer an issue. It also costs about 1/3 of the radiation costs. So without further ado, we have Diana here with us today.
Carolyn, thank you for my entire presentation. So I'll take questions now. I am Diana, CEO of Sinogard, and My mom got breast cancer when she was 28 years old. She lived another 30 years. She never died from breast cancer. She died from heart failure that the radiation therapy gave her after breast surgery. So unfortunately, this is still the case today. A woman has lumpectomy. She ends up with radiation therapy. And the issues with radiation are that it causes 3 times the risk of heart failure. You have a permanently disfigured breast. You have to go every day for 5 to 30 days. Very inconvenient for women who don't live nearby. And it's expensive. So the question we're asking you.
Can you keep it close to your?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go.
The problem we're trying to solve is how do you prevent breast cancer recurrence, which is the reason they give the radiation therapy, to kill any breast cancer cells that might have been left behind. So how do you prevent a recurrence without using radiation? And our solution is intraoperative cryoablation. In other words, instead of killing them with radiation, we use a different energy source. We use freezing. And we do it during surgery. The surgeon removes the tumor, puts the cryoprobe in the surgical cavity, applies lethally freezing temperatures that go to the depth of 1 centimeter, same depth that radiation goes to. Removes the probe, the woman goes home. No follow-up visits, no cosmetic defect, no cardiac failures, and it's about 1/3 to 1/2 of the cost of radiation. This makes it available to women all over, not just people near a radiation center. So the value prop, Karen and I both just kind of witnessed, the women have follow-up visits, very convenient for them, it's affordable, and it's accessible. The surgeon's value proposition is that they have happier patients, it increases their patient volume, and it allows them to offer a broader service level than just, we take your tumor out. The opportunity here is $2 billion globally. In the US, it's $270 billion obtainable market. The team that's going to bring this to market collectively has 100 years experience in the breast cancer specifically industry. 2 of them are breast cancer surgeons. We also collectively have brought 5 companies, entrepreneurial startup companies, to market. So we're your team. The only competition we really have is radiation. We've talked about all of the problems with radiation. But the newest form of radiation is intraoperative radiation. And that's when they put the probe in the tumor bed after the tumor's excised. Very similar to what we do, but they apply radiation. So they have all the issues except the woman doesn't have to come back for many, many visits. They still have the cardiac problem, the cosmetic problem, and it is really expensive. Only 5% of the institutes in America can afford to have this and have it. Our go-to-market strategy, there's 2 channels of who gets to decide what I'm going to do with my breast. It's the patient and the surgeon. And we know these people. The patient, we will do a social media and patient advocacy, education and awareness program. Now, in my last job, I contracted the best firm that does this, and they're already contracted to do that with us again today. It was a startup also. We went from 5 million to 25 million in 18 months after we instituted this program. The other half that you do in parallel is educate and make the surgeons aware. Breast cancer surgeons are so easy to get to. There's only 2,500 of them in the United States, and they go to certain meetings, and between the 4 of us on the team, we know almost all of them. We're also going to start with the 30% of the women who choose not to do anything. Right now, a woman has virtually no options. You have the tumor removed and don't do radiation, which leaves you at risk of getting a recurrence. You do the tumor removal and do radiation, you have all the problems with radiation, or you do a mastectomy. So one of the key categories that we're going to go after first are the 30% of the women who get the lumpectomy and don't do anything because they're afraid of radiation or they can't afford it, or they can't get there. That's our first audience. Our timeline here is well, I'm going to do a blanket sales call here. We need $2 million. Okay, here's what we're going to do with it. We want to finish our cryo probe design. We have a workstation that creates the freezing and a probe that's a disposable probe that you put in the tumor bed. We need to complete the probe design. We need to complete animal tissue testing. We've done some very successful. And we need to do our mastectomy study. At that point, we go out for Series A, $2 million, and go for our clinical trial and FDA approval. We're going to go through breakthrough technology approval, which is a fast track. We had a consult with the ex-director of the Breakthrough Technology Committee at the FDA, and he said that we have far greater than a 50% chance of getting the breakthrough technology designation. We're going to collect that data for two years, turn it in, hopefully get our FDA clearance. At that point in time, it's really good exit strategy time. But if we choose not to take any of the many offers that we're going to get, we will continue another 3 years doing a registry study. Breast cancer surgeons are really familiar with this. The product is approved, but nobody's really accepted it yet. Wait to see their neighbor do it. So we will have 20 centers doing 60 to 100 of these patients, reporting on and publishing them, and the rest will come through. At that point in time, in 3 years, you have a 5-year results period, and that's when everybody comes on board. And that's our next exit strategy. How big is the appetite for buying these relatively small startup breast cancer companies? You think that in breast cancer alone, it might be a little bit limited. The appetite is very strong. Right behind me, you can see that several of them have been purchased recently. COVID, and I can tell you this offline, but COVID accelerated the acceptance of our product and the acceptance of breast cancer surgery and treating it. So we're going to go after our $2 million. I guess thanks. I'm assuming you read that $2 million with a 6% interest rate. Okay. So why do you want to give us money? Why? Would be because we're a great team. We've done this before. We are filling a huge unfilled, unmet need. We're going to make it affordable to everybody. We can go globally with this. Women outside of the United States have no access to radiation therapy. Well, in Europe. Yeah, I'm over. I'm done.
Okay,
I'm
thank
done.
you.
I'll take the hard questions first. I have piqued no questions whatsoever.
I love the presentation, particularly the fact that you've already got a captive audience with the 2,500 surgeons. My question on explosive growth is, as you go into other countries, how deep is your network, and would this technology be deployed through surgeons or through other professionals?
Really good question. The answer to that is after our 5 years and a strategic has purchased it, it's going to be one of those companies that has a global distribution system. We will not get to global distribution.
So what exactly, I think maybe we've glossed over this a little bit, but the device itself, it's like a substrate with a frozen kind of exterior, or what exactly is it?
Would you hold your microphone up in the air so we can see it? It's something that looks like this. It's disposable. We inject the super cold cryogen in the bottom. The top, where the brown part, is in the breast, in the surgical cavity, and that freezes the inside of the breast cavity. You take it out and you throw it away. We have a standing console that creates the freezing. That's permanent.
Is the top part of the right that stays in there?
Oh, no. It's removed after it delivers the freezing temperature and freezes all around the inside of the cavity. It's removed.
So you would still have to come back for that.
It's a one and done.
Are there any other uses for the probe besides breast cancer?
Really good question. The answer is yes. But we have the license globally exclusively just for the breast. There is another company working on other applications.
And then what was the FDA basing the 50% chance of breakthrough approval on?
It has, in order to get breakthrough technology approval, it has to be something that's currently not available, will expand availability to more accessibility. And it has to be a novel and unique, basically that. And there has to be a need. As I said, COVID really helped us there because women didn't go for their mammograms. And now there's an onslaught of mammograms, more cancer, and a lot of them are in lesser income areas that don't have radiation treatment.
Great job. Can you talk about who your primary competitors are in this space?
Sure, the radiation companies.
There's nobody else kind of trying to do what you're trying to do?
You are a stinky question. Okay. Yeah, there is a company that puts RF energy in there. Same process we do, but they use RF energy. RF energy must be delivered in the OR. It's painful. It causes the internal charring. And they never made it. They got their clearance, but they never went to the market with it. There is one company that freezes the actual tumor. And it has not, it's been around for at least 10 years. It hasn't taken off because women don't like to, even though they are told it's dead, they don't want to leave a tumor in their body. So that's why we're appealing to the woman and the surgeon. We'll take the tumor out and we'll freeze the margins and you don't need radiation.
That's the question.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, awesome. So you talked about social media, like contacting social media companies to get with the patients in order to get them to understand the product. Are you planning to work with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation so it gets out even further?
Yes, I would love to. Do you know how to get me in there?
Sorry, no.
Yes, we are. We actually have pretty good connections. Breastcancer.org which is a huge one. The CEO is a good friend of mine, and she's going to help us out. And the local Susan Comans all over the place. We have regional. The PR firm has regional people to talk to the Susan Comans and all the pink ribbon people.
So are there other applications where cryotherapy is currently being used to treat cancer?
Yes, there are in the bone, in the liver, in the kidney, almost everywhere. The problem is, and they could do it on a solid tumor in the breast, but our patents are on putting a cryogen on steroids. In other words, none of the cryogenic systems out there have the power that our patent lets us get to. So in order to get the freezing on a big, like a golf ball maybe, or a ping pong ball, you have to have a lot of freezing power. And we've got patents on that.
So once the tissue is dead, there's not a cosmetic issue.
No, that's another good question. The women who have had the tumors frozen inside, they a few years later say that if they push hard enough, they might feel a little nodule. So we're going to have to educate the patients on that. And we really haven't seen, other than an animal, what happens with the tissue as it caves down. The surgeons tend to think that it's not going to be an issue. And if it does become an issue, they will put a filler in there, like cheek fillers, and let it just absorb naturally and get back to its normal size and shape. Right. It does have an economy of scale. It's relatively simple to manufacture, but it's not going to be a convoluted thing. But we haven't manufactured final design yet. We have for the workstation, not for the cryo probe. Oh, we've all gone through it. Yes. Well, I've gone through it. Roberta's gone through it. Dario, who is a pure breast surgeon, well, he consulted with 2 companies that did have to go through it. So we all know what it's like.
What is the efficacy? I know you haven't done technology evidence, efficacy versus radiation.
Got it. Yes. There are 263. Sorry. 263 articles on the efficacy of cryoablation in the breast alone. 11 of them compared breast cancer with radiation, and those have been done recently. We have done in our animal studies, we can monitor and know that we're getting minus 41 degrees, 1 centimeter out. That's what it's going to take. We've also, the other little diagram there is our prototype where it should be freezing in like 2 seconds. But anyway.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good job.
Thank you, Diana, for your presentation. Next we have Arvatus Biosciences CEO Alan Hauser. Arvatus is advancing innovative spatialomic testing tools to enable tomorrow's immunotherapies. Alan?
Thank you, Karen, and good afternoon. I'm excited to be able to share with you our vision for Arvatus, a UCI spin-out that's accelerating next generation precision cancer care.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. The efficacy of immunotherapies is horrendous, meaning 87.5% of cancer patients do not respond. Recent literature suggests that imprecise biomarkers is the problem. We must do better. The spatially complex three-dimensional tumor microenvironment is both the problem and the Arvatus solution. Next, I will elaborate on the serious unmet medical need. Single marker tests are poor predictors, resulting in patient suffering and or death. It's as if the existing companion diagnostic tests are blindly assessing the tumor immune microenvironment. Despite this rather bleak intro, I'm pleased nonetheless to be able to share with you how Arvatus is going to change the face of precision oncology. And it begins by bringing the tumor immune microenvironment out of the dark to obtain a more comprehensive understanding of the three-dimensional spatial architecture of this time. Employing holistic multi-marker signatures, an entire new class, we will be, the spatial omic testing will be predictive as we are putting unprecedented precision into precision care. Spatial omics profiling promises to be the key to unlocking the full potential of immune checkpoint inhibitors. And now I'm privileged to introduce the Mosaica MSP platform that will be driving the future of precision medicine. Operational benefits include single scan profiling that lends itself to easy to use, cost effective, and being rapid. These advantages are best compared to the competition, which let's take a look. Single marker tests offered by the incumbents, such as Roche, are simply not effective, as previously discussed. These emerging players, potential players, currently dominate the spatial omics research sector. However, Arvitas is strongly positioned to be able to compete and win on the basis of adoptability, which clearly distinguishes us and our Mosaica solution from these MSP platforms. So let's turn next to how we are going to be differentiated from these other players. The Mosaica platform is built upon 4 technological pillars. First, combinatorial labeling is crucial to our chemware. Spectral fluorescent lifetime imaging microscopy is at the heart of our hardware, and application-specific reagents or bioware enable both transcriptomic and proteomic profiling. And finally, our machine learning powered algorithms allow complex data computation. Should I say more? Yes. Single scan imaging is accomplished by combining our code book with the multi-marker signatures that are imaged and captured in Z-stack renderings that derive from our phaser analysis. And now let's fast forward to our serviceable addressable market, or SAM. The spatial omics companion diagnostic market is expected to exceed $5 billion by 2028 and growing at a robust 25% CAGR. Arvitas will make money initially as a service provider by working closely with our pharma customer / collaborator to co-develop our first product. As we look beyond FDA approval, actual product sales revenue kicks in using a more traditional razor blade business model. Ultimately, cancer patients will benefit from our next generation product offerings. And with UC Irvine front and center, I'll next share our company of origin story. The genesis of Arvitas grew out of a 10-year scientific collaboration between this dynamic duo, Professors Zhao and Rattan, who have pioneered this work. And then Professor Zhao found me in Chicago after relocation. Here I am. And next I will share our highlights. Arvitas was funded a year ago with initial angel financing. And then since then, we have hired 3 UCI biomedical engineering rock stars and have also secured a $400,000 SBIR grant that will start in September. And our ask is $2.5 million. And I'm happy to take your questions.
presentation. Question to ask you, there's so many things I can ask. Team, FTA, but advisory board, how does that look like? Alan, do you have folks in place to help you get past all the red tape?
Great question, and no, we have not gotten that far. We will be collaborating with academic translational medicine surgeons, doctors, and we will be working with those partners. But as we start working with them, then we will be bringing, or I'm already starting to look for, and we'll need to bring on board those types of advisors. But as of today, we don't have that.
Any preliminary clinical trials, animal testing?
No, we really are. The $2.5 million will be for the purpose of validating the translational basis for the product. And so we really have to, and then at that point we'll be working with pharmaceutical companies, and then we'll be hand in hand with their clinical trials for their new immunotherapies for patient selection, and ultimately to be able to, again, this test has to go hand in hand with these new emerging therapies. And so we'll be working very closely with our pharma partner to do that. No, actually, I have 27 years of partnering with pharma and other companies in the life sciences space, but it's, I believe, a little early for us to be reaching out until we have developed the robust platform to be able to really be able to help first our partners in the academic labs doing the immunotherapy clinical trials of the medical centers, translational medical centers. Then we'll be working with CROs that are working with pharma. And then at that point, we will reach out to pharma to establish the more robust co-partnership, co-development partnership.
On the 4 pillars that you had up here, I assume that kind of defines your competitive advantage. Can you talk a little bit about your IP protections relative to those?
Certainly. Actually, each of the 4 pillars is protected by IP. There we go. So the combinatorial labeling and the kimware would be part of a actually now PCT application that has, I believe, just published. And then the spectral phlegm is part of the laboratory for fluorescent dynamics on the UCI campus. And so there's IP that Professor Bouton has developed over the years, and then also in combination with the combinatorial labeling is part of our IP package. And then we, of course, and that includes the imaging aspects of the multi-markers, highly multiplex tests, and then our machine learning tools to be able to do the data analysis is also part of the IP.
Is it owned or is it licensed to you?
The IP would be actually, person who developed that IP was part of the late LFD, is now a full-time employee of the company. So that would be part of the company.
So aside from the IP, you identified some pretty serious competitors, and from a more technical standpoint, what's your advantage over the 10Xs and singulars of this new world?
It's going to take me a while to try to find. Okay, this is probably a good summary. Really, those platforms, I mean, the 10Xs and the companies that I listed in Livestream, they've done a phenomenal job of pioneering the spatial omics field. They're research tools that are expensive, that are difficult to use, and require, in many of the cases, multiple rounds of imaging or multiple rounds of sequence-based to be able to do this higher multiplexing. What we can do is in a single scan, which enables it to be rapid, cost-effective, and easy to use, which we believe is the sweet spot for companion diagnostics. We're not going to be competing with those players in the research market. We're going directly after the companion diagnostic space.
Thanks, Alan. Talk about the $5 billion percent. What are your assumptions? I can see revenue model. What are your assumptions on capturing market share?
Great question. Really, for the purpose of doing the financial modeling, that we really did not use that top line number. We really looked at our first product was non-small cell lung cancer. So look at the number of patients and then being able to capture the number of patients. So it's really a top bottom up approach to doing our actual financials. Of course, that SAM is a nice to know, nice to have to be able to triangulate with our bottom up. But the financial model is not actually based on that specific number.
Great. And continuing on that trend with the bottom up model, you talked about paid services before reaching FDA approval. So can you tell me a little bit more about the level of interaction you have with paying customers now?
Okay, our only revenue today will be the first phase of the $400,000 that, so we have no audit revenue, no customer or even collaborative revenue. This is what we, basically with the SBIR, will be able, our milestones that we need to meet for that will enable us then to reach out. But your question is right on. I mean, key to our business model and the company's success will be our ability by end of next year to be able to have partnership with pharma because they are really incentivized. I did not show this, but as I try to go through it, basically, pharma has to have a companion diagnostic test in order to materialize their $100 billion immunotherapy market. And so here, this $120 billion is really what we believe is the real market that's driving our ability to raise money to co-develop our companion diagnostic test that will again go hand in hand with the pharma's new immunotherapies. So thank you for the question. Because that 120 billion is really the driver.
Good question from Mark Cross. He's not here today, so he said to say that. His question is, what progress have you made in defining biomarkers you will be using?
Excellent question. We really, today, we actually just a month and a half ago submitted our first, or the research labs submitted the first paper that's been reviewed, and we will have, and two of the reviewers have come back positively, and it appears that it will be published in the next month or so. And in that case, the biomarkers that we used were for really kind of model system. They were not necessarily what we will end up using for like the non-small cell lung cancer. But these, like most of the immunotherapies with Keytruda, PD-L1, and so what we're doing then also will be unique is that it will be both messenger RNA transcripts and protein. So it will be this co-detection of these two types of markers that we believe will really allow us to quantify and shed real light on this tumor immune microenvironment.
Thank you very much.
I'll make it quick. With the MSP platform that you're trying to build, I mean, as you know, it's pretty capital intensive. So with respect to like the $2.5 million that you're trying to raise, what would be your monthly burn after you raise that money? How long will that money last you?
Great. Actually, we need $7.5 million over the next 5 years. And so this would be really just the first tranche of that 7.5. And we believe the combination of the 7.5 with pharma co-development dollars will enable us to get through the clinical trials and go to market.
Great, thank you.
Next, we have Ahmed Zoe, CEO of Center Health Technologies. Center is a startup company that's founded by biomedical engineers and experienced surgeons. Together, they have developed and tested a processing device, a centrifuge system for the microsizing of adipose tissue for body contouring. Ahmed?
That's good. We check if it works. Oh, no, come on. There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmed Zobi. I am CEO of Center Health Technologies, providing an autologous fat procedure to aid in healing and rejuvenation. So a little bit about what we are doing. We're basically bridging two markets together, two completely separate yet related markets, one being plastic and reconstructive surgery, the other one being wound healing. Surprisingly, plastic surgeons are on the forefront of both of these markets. So a little bit about what our device does. We break down the fat tissue at the point of care in an outpatient procedure setting, meaning no need for an OR room. This can be done outpatient, minimal liposuction, transplanted back into the patient. What our device does by breaking it down, it allows for a higher increase in retention, meaning the fat tissue stays in the place that you inject it. It's point of care, reproducible, repeatable. It's also injected by a very small needle, so you don't need to do larger cannulas to inject the fat tissue back into the patient, like what's being done today. And then at the same time, no chemical processing compared to what's currently being done out there. So I'm going to warn you, sorry. The next slide has disturbing images. So the first problem that we're targeting are diabetic foot ulcers. These nasty, nasty wounds that can progress in a matter of days, if not weeks. Right now in the US, there's over 34 million patients who have diabetes. Both my parents are both diabetic. And there's almost 770,000 new cases of diabetic foot ulcers reported annually. That's expected to grow. So our current clinical trials that we're approved for, we're targeting grade 2s and below, show that we can target this problem earlier on, treat it, cure it, and basically give these patients another chance at life to get them back into mobility, go out into the workforce and do things that they can't do right now. Because if they don't have a treatment, there's about a 30% amputation rate. And these patients do lose their limbs. They have almost an 80% mortality rate within 5 years post-amputation. Standard of care, really medieval. There's debridement, basically cutting the dead skin from the surface of the foot. There's padding and offloading, but as you can see in that photo, that patient still has lost multiple limbs. And there's what I call the Cadillac version of treatment, which is these expensive skin substitutes that are super expensive. The one on the left, which is organogenesis, being about $10,000 per application. And these patients have to undergo multiple applications over the course of 4 to 6 months, sometimes every 2 weeks or every week, depending on the wound. The average cost ranks up to $17,000 per patient. For cost of treatment with an average success rate of 26%. So imagine going to your doctor and they're like, it could work. Let's try it, let's see it, and let me just bill you and your insurance company. So this is where we're coming in to try to change that. Now on the plastic and reconstructive surgery, because we're working with plastic surgeons in both the wound healing and the cosmetic field, this is basically more of a soft dermal tissue filling, low volume, outpatient, can be done real quick, in under an hour, and basically inject the fat tissue into the face for body contouring. And we do have FDA clearance right now for that as well. So again, the way our solution works, we take a little bit of fat tissue, we put it into our consumables. You see that little chip right there? That is our Class 2 cleared device. And the Center FPU 360 is our reusable system that allows us to process the Class 2 so that we can push the fat tissue back and forth and break it down. Once the fat tissue has been processed, extract it via a syringe, attach a needle or a cannula, depending on what you're trying to inject it with, and put it back into the patient's body, whether it's the aesthetics or whether it's the diabetic foot ulcers. So on the aesthetics market, the value for dermal filling is about 3.4 billion. Fat grafting, large volume and small volume together is about 4.2, and that is all out of pocket. So therefore, we don't have to negotiate with Medicare or CMS. We're already working with plastic surgeons. We have a $2 million purchase order right now for the first year. And on the diabetic foot ulcer side, you're looking at $1 billion skin substitute market, and then almost $9 to $13 billion diabetic foot ulcer market. The goal is to disrupt the skin substitute and then come out with a prevention model down the line for these diabetic ulcers. So similar to what Kaiser makes, patients above the age of 65 go get their hearts checked out. We basically do that for podiatrists, where the patient goes in every 3 to 6 months and they check the foot health and they say, hey, you know what? I need to inject this with fat tissue to prevent the ulcer from happening in the first place. I know you can't really see it, but on a 6-year projection line, we're looking at about $200 million by year 6. And that's about almost 160,000 patients for both markets. So almost 4.5% market share at that point in time, which is very doable compared to others out there that have done this. Business model is pretty simple: outsourcing outsourcing to FDA and ISO certified manufacturing facilities. Cost of goods with a high volume production is about $1,500 for our system and about $50 for our class 2, selling it at $1,000 and $10,000 respectively. Medicare reimbursement codes are available for the diabetic foot ulcer side of things, and we have worked with our partners at Hoag and USC to quantify those as well. At the same time, we have a ton of intellectual property. This is not updated. We just got another one issued today. So there's 7 issued patents, 3 pending, 7 pending around the world, 1 issued in South Korea and 1 pending again in South Korea. We have exclusive license to all of them. We also have freedom to operate, and we're also developing our own IP separate from what we've licensed from UCI. I'm not going to go into super depth, but just to kind of talk to you about our track record. We got clearance for our device in July 2nd. We got approved for our clinical trials for 24 patients, which I'm traveling next week to start. We closed our $2.2 million seed round. We're opening up our next round of funding, hopefully around November time. That's when we anticipate to get human clinical data. We have a $2 million purchase order from a plastic surgeon. We're about to secure a $4 million federal supply schedule with the VA, and that encompasses 2 plastic surgeons and 3 VA hospitals just to start off with. Our next milestones: applying for grants, obviously, validating the market with clinical trials. We do have an investigator-initiated trial in the aesthetic space starting hopefully in the next month or 2. We're going to get IRB approval within 14 days, so that's not really big of an issue. But really, the biggest activities that we're looking for is growing the company, hiring and expanding the team, expanding sales. We just brought on an excellent C executive in sales that has done the diabetic wound healing side multiple years at a time with multiple companies. I'll get to that in a bit. And then try to attempt to get about 2% market share in the aesthetics in 2 years and 2.5% in diabetic ulcers. $20 million seed round. Exit strategy similar to other people. This is the team, amazing. Here's the highlights. Thank you.
Really good job, really thorough. Thanks. What's your monthly burn right now? How big is your team?
It's a very good question. Sometimes I want to look at the bank account. Right now, it's myself and Justin that are on full time. Hugo is working with us as well. We just brought on Dane to help take care of the sales and marketing. I would say burn is anywhere between 20 to 30, depending on costs. I mean, we're slowly finally getting things in from Fisher, so those go up as soon as we get billed for it. So, but in general, it's a small team right now. We've always been a small team, but we've made a lot of great things happen in the last couple of years that, with as little possible funding is needed.
One more question. When are you targeting go to market?
Next month. We already have the purchase orders. We're literally manufacturing right now. We're hoping to get the first couple of units probably the 2nd week of next month. And we're also doing an investigator-initiated trial. We have about 10 units for that right now. Once we get the manufacturing, everything's been slow lately. Once we get the manufacturing going, we should be targeting about 144 patients in the next 2 months.
readout from the November trial?
The data readout coming in November is mainly on the diabetic foot ulcer side. We do anticipate to get some early clinical data off the aesthetics, but the full blown aesthetics data is going to be analyzed somewhere close to January, February next year.
Yeah, so if you describe kind of, said there are just like 10 units out there, but just for the data coming in November.
Yes. That's a good question. So our clinical trial starts in a couple of weeks. I have a visit next week at the site, just validate it, get the thumbs up of approval, pay them a huge check, and then we get going from there. We anticipate that once we get the first patient in, based on our animal study, we've seen a 40% reduction in healing time. So we anticipate anywhere between weeks 5 through 8 to see significant wound healing in patients with diabetic foot ulcers, and that timeline kicks in around November. So we've been approved for a total of 24 patients. We can easily expand it. We're going to talk with our regulatory approvals on that one. So it's 24 patients. It's going to be a control study versus our injectable. So it's going to be comparing it to control. So 12 patients in our study, 12 patients in the standard of care, which is that debridement and padding and offloading that I mentioned previously.
Growth with the VA.
Very significant. They're doing amputations almost on a daily. I tell the story to everybody. We had a patient that we were just gonna go routine liposuction procedure. Very stable, 24 hours pre that liposuction. All of a sudden they flipped and they said, hey, we have to do a lower leg amputation. So these things are really, really critical for them when it comes to trying to treat our veterans, especially with those that have served and are now undergoing diabetes and amputations. I kid you not, I think one of the surgeons says we do at least 2 to 3 amputations a day. And whether it's the whole leg, foot, or even just a toe, that's still significant on the body. Even though they amputate, those wounds still take a long time to heal after amputation. So we're hoping to also look into that as well. So on the diabetic wound healing systems, as I mentioned, you have negative pressure, you have these skin substitutes. Eventually, it's all about data and expanding into that. What really stands us apart from everybody else is that we're targeting a single injection, meaning we're treating these patients one time. We're not going to make them undergo multiple procedures, multiple skin substitute visits. It's really, truly a one and done. That's our goal compared to a lot of these other diabetic wound cares. On the aesthetic side, right now we're small volume, and we're outpatient, whereas a lot of liposuction procedures and a lot of liposuction tools that are out there, they require an OR room. So with the OR room, we have OR costs, and those are passed on to the patient. Whereas with our device in an outpatient setting, there is no OR room cost. That doesn't get passed on. It's purely a profit model for plastic surgeons because most plastic surgeons don't own their OR rooms. They rent it out from another facility. So technically, they just pass that through onto the customer. They have no profit margins off of that. But in an outpatient setting, they could do it in their own private facility. And it's, again, right now, small volume, but we're testing out expanded volumes. And we actually, when we released our news of closing our round and getting FDA clearance, we got hit up by 2 strategic partners who are also in the fat processing space that are taking a look into us as well. So we know that there's a lot of push for this single-use outpatient reproducibility, where a lot of other medical devices don't have the repeatability and reproducibility that we have.
How much is the class 2 cost to make?
Right now, we're looking at a couple hundred, because it's low volume. But if we scale up that volume, we've gone and estimated down to $50 a piece and selling it for $1,000. But that also helps us become a little bit more competitive. We can drive down the price on what we charge.
You just hang out the essential features for.
Yes, basically. I mean, it costs us a lot right now because, again, it's really small volume. You're looking at a big hunk of hardware. But even when we spoke, scale that up and get it down, yeah, we're most likely going to get it out for free. There's really no point in us really collecting that much revenue. Our true revenue projections are off the consumables being used. They do about 2 to 3 a day amputations. That's some VAs. I mean, there's other VAs that can be doing a lot more, a lot less depending. But the ones that we've talked to and the ones that we're partnered with, they're doing a tremendous amount.
You expect the margins to hold with the VA? I don't know if the margins are public margins or the VA margins.
So those are public margins. We've actually negotiated pricing on the VAs and they're a little bit different. But the margins still are relatively high.
And is there software or hardware?
Nope, no software, no hardware updates. It's already preset that we've done it. I mean, if we expand our processing parameters to like, let's say half a liter or even a little bit less than a half a liter, then all we have to do is just switch out the motors, which we've already looked at a couple of motors that can handle those. And those are already pre-built with software that we just tweak a little bit of stuff and pop it in. It's not connected to the internet. There should be no way for someone to hack it. So it's completely off the grid. It's at the state. It's at the site. That's it.
Is it a one and done treatment or does it require?
So for the aesthetic side, that's what we're looking into. You know, how long can you really push this thing out? Move away from the wind a little bit. How long can you push it out? Juvederm, they promise a year. Most of their patients come in almost every 3 to 4 months, dependent. So we really are doing right now our aesthetics trials to show how long the patient can last with it and what's the quality of that work being done, right? After that, then we can really hone in and say like, hey, yeah, you know what? Ours is also, a 3 to 4, but you're not injecting some, made up thing in a lab. You're injecting your own fat tissue, and we've done customer survey acquisitions on that. We went out and asked. Multiple people are willing to give a little bit of fat out just to kind of have that illusion of taking fat out of me and put it into the face. So until we actually do it, I can't really give you a definitive answer, but we should be close to the standard 3 to 4 months, or if not more, depending on how well our results go. And again, the beauty of this is that it pushes out the patients for these plastic surgeons to do other larger type surgeries, which is where they really make their bread and butter. So, if you have more patients, newer patients coming in, you give these plastic surgeons the ability to sell and do other things like a full, liposuction or a tummy tuck, whatever it might be. That's our goal here, is that we want to try to extend that revisit hours as much, or revisit months as much as possible, so these plastic surgeons can get new customers in, build up their brand, build up their market acquisition technically, and really try to expand in that market.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Next, we have Curious Technologies. Dr. Gregory Grover was unable to be with us today, so we do have a video. Curious Technologies is a UCLA UCSD spinout that's developing Tissue Shield, a sprayable hydrogel platform technology to be first used as a medical device.
Done, right? After that, then we can really hone in.
My name is Dr. Greg Grover, and I'm CEO, co-inventor, and co-founder. Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Greg Grover, and I'm CEO, co-inventor, and co-founder of Curious Technologies. Unfortunately, I won't be able to join you all today for this presentation. However, my contact information is below. Please reach out to me if you'd like to connect or learn more, or have any questions for me after the presentation. Today, I'm going to talk about Curious Technologies, which is a UCSD UCLA spinout, which is the result of a collaboration between myself when I was a postdoc at UCSD, as well as a professor of bioengineering and the chief of cardiothoracic surgery.
The beauty of this is that
at Curios, we're focused on preventing post-surgical adhesions. There's over 50 million surgeries per year in the U.S. The average American will have over 9 surgeries in their lifetime, and 5 out of the 10 most common U.S. surgical procedures have a high incidence of adhesion formation. We're specifically focusing on cardiac applications first. This is because the heart's natural barrier to adhesion prevention is removed during surgery. This allows scar tissue to form, fusing the heart to other tissues and organs within the chest, and this scar tissue is referred to as a post-surgical adhesion. These post-surgical adhesions have serious implications for patients. They lead to permanent scarring, hemorrhaging, impaired function, require reoperation for removal, pain, and even death. Let's take a look at the overall clinical need here in regards to these post-surgical cardiac adhesions. There's over 500,000 open heart procedures performed annually within the US, and greater than 20% of these are reoperations. Furthermore, the number of surgeries are projected to grow to over 850,000 in the next 10 years. The important thing about these adhesions is they make reoperations more difficult and riskier. Specifically, they triple the mortality of patients, and greater than 70% of these reoperation patients have severe adhesions. This is because the heart is fused to the chest, and the surgeon is required to carefully remove it without causing damage to the heart or neighboring tissue or dealing with what causes catastrophic hemorrhage. Overall, the US I won't be able to spend all today. $35 billion. However, my contact information is below. Please reach out to me if you'd like to connect or learn more or have any questions for me after the presentation. Today I'm going to talk about Cryo technology, which is a novel sprayable UCLA spin-out, which is the result of our collaboration between myself and I was a postdoc at UCSD, as well as a professor of bioengineering and the chief of cardiothoracic surgery. Anti-clogging applicator. Cryo will focus on preventing post-surgical adhesions. Most importantly, over 50 million surgeries per year in the US. The average American will have over 9 surgeries in their lifetime. When you prevent 5 out of the 10 most common US surgical procedures have a high incidence of adhesions. Patient outcomes, specifically focusing on cardiac applications first. This is because the heart's natural barrier to adhesion prevention is removed during surgery. This allows scar tissue to form using the heart with other tissues and organs within the chest. And the scar tissue is referred to as a post-surgical adhesion. These post-surgical adhesions have serious implications for patients. They lead to permanent scarring, hemorrhaging, impaired function, require reoperation for removal, pain, and even death. We have 3 issues. Let's take a look at the overall clinical need here in regards to the post-surgical cardiac adhesions. There's over 500,000 open heart procedures performed annually in the US, and greater than 20% of these are reoperations. Furthermore, the number of surgeries are projected to grow to over 850,000 in the next 10 years. The important thing about these adhesions is they make reoperations more difficult and riskier. Specifically, they triple the mortality of patients. And greater than 70% of these reoperation patients have severe adhesions. Fully synthetic because the heart is fused to the chest, and the surgeon is required to carefully remove it without causing damage to the heart or neighboring tissues. That critical time point in catastrophic hemorrhage. Overall, the US I won't be able to spend all today. $35 billion. Here I'm showing the co-inventors of Cryo technology to learn more or have any questions. Dr. Michael Madani, cardiothoracic. Today I'm going to talk about Cryo technology, Professor Karen novel sprayable UCLA bioengineering is the result of our collaboration between myself and I was a postdoc at UCSD, as well as a professor of bioengineering and the chief of cardiothoracic surgery. Anti-clogging applicator. Cryo will focus on preventing post-surgical adhesions. There's over 50 million surgeries per year in the US. The average American will have over 9 surgeries in their lifetime. When you prevent 5 out of the 10 most common US surgical procedures have a high incidence of adhesions. Patient outcomes, specifically focusing on cardiac applications first. This is because the heart's natural barrier to adhesion prevention is removed during surgery. This allows scar tissue to form using the heart with other tissues and organs within the chest, and the scar tissue is referred to as a post-surgical adhesion. These post-surgical adhesions have serious implications for patients. They lead to permanent scarring, hemorrhaging, impaired function, require reoperation for removal, pain, and death. Total addressable market. Let's take a look at the overall clinical need here in regards to the post-surgical cardiac adhesions. There's over 500,000 open heart procedures performed annually in the US, and greater than 20% of these are reoperations. Furthermore, the number of surgeries are projected to grow to over 850,000 in the next 10 years. The important thing about these adhesions is they make reoperations more difficult and risky. Specifically, they triple the mortality of patients. And greater than 70% of these reoperation patients have severe adhesions. That is because the heart is fused to the chest, and the surgeon is required to carefully remove it without causing damage to the heart or neighboring tissues. That critical 70% point in catastrophic hemorrhage. Overall, the US I won't be able to spend all the day by working on the heart and helping here I'm showing the co-inventors of technology to learn more about Dr. Michael Madani, cardiothoracic. Today I'm going to talk about Cryo technology. How are we going to make money? Is the result of our collaboration between myself and I was a postdoc at UCSD, as well as a professor of bioengineering and cardiothoracic surgery, applicator, Ontario will focus on preventing post-surgical adhesions. There's over 50 million surgeries per year in the U.S. The average American will have over 9 surgeries in their lifetime. 5 out of 10 most common U.S. surgical procedures have high incidence of adhesions or patient outcomes, specifically focusing on cardiac applications. This is because of the heart's natural barrier to adhesion prognosis and removal in surgery. Let's see how scar tissue deposits using the heart cause other tissues and organs to develop. This scar tissue is referred to as these post-surgical adhesions have serious implications for safety and evidence, permanent scars, hemorrhaging, impaired function, coronary aspiration for removal, and death. Let's take a look at the overall clinical needs here as it relates to these post-surgical cardiac adhesions. There's over 500,000 open heart procedures performed annually in the U.S. Approximately 20% of these are heart patients. Furthermore, the number of surgeries are projected to grow to over 180,000 in the next 10 years. The important thing about these adhesions is they make the operation polysurgical and risky, specifically the critical mortality of patients. Greater than 70% of these reoperations have had reduced. Because because the surgeon is required to thoroughly remove it, known as overall, the use
Triton is developing an in vitro diagnostic platform to rapidly determine the antimicrobial resistance of bacterial and fungal pathogens.
Thanks. Starters, yeah. Thank you everybody for sticking around. Very excited to share about Triton Beall, a company that I started a few years ago. As Karen mentioned, Triton's mission is to develop a technology that rapidly determine the antibiotic resistance profile of pathogens. So, sorry, everybody else here. Yeah, thanks. Right, so when pathogens translocate from respiratory urinary tract and have a drug resistance, it's very difficult for physicians to treat that infection. And if not treated with the effective antibiotic, patients can quickly succumb, become very morbid, and even die. And so it happens actually that multi-drug resistant bacterial infections are actually the leading cause of death in hospitals today worldwide. And the complications in trying to manage patients who develop severe infections make treating these conditions the most expensive illness. So at the heart of this problem really is the time it takes to figure out which antibiotic to treat the patient. So despite major advances in new antimicrobial therapy, the challenge really is which of the antibiotics need to be selected at the right time. So treatment has to begin within the first hours that a patient presents symptoms. And so the issue is that when a sample is sent to the laboratory, it takes several days to actually ascertain which drug is effective against the bacteria or the fungal pathogen. So during that time, doctors are left really with no choice but to treat empirically. And that really is what gives rise to the high mortality rates and the exceedingly high costs of managing these patients. So really the solution is, in a lot of ways, quite simple. We have to do this analysis much quicker. So despite new advances in nucleic acid analysis, quantitative PCR, and next-gen sequencing, those technologies actually missed the mark and have not moved the needle for clinical outcomes and similarly financial outcomes, because they don't provide the key metric, which is sort of the specialty track this is all about. That is the phenotypic profile that will tell the doctor this drug is the right one to use so the patient's condition can improve. So simply put, our solution is a benchtop instrument that will be placed in a central microbiology lab, and it uses a microfluidic cassette that does the rapid phenotypic analysis. We'll geek out a little bit here, get under the hood of that machine and explain what's actually happening. So in these microfluidic channels, we use a combination of fluid flow and electrokinetics. What has to be done first is the pathogens have to be isolated from the primary sample or concentrated. So in this diagram, at the left, we're looking at the prototype of our cassette. And on the right, we're sort of zoomed in through a microscope. And what you see is that these microelectrodes that are embedded within the channel generate a force field, which can separate out the blood cells and concentrate the pathogens prior to the analysis step. This phenomenon is called dielectric resistance. And using the same physical concept, this biophysical concept, so step 2 of our process, the machine can profile the drug response of the organism. So in that same compartment where the separation occurred, the organism is then exposed to the antibiotic that we're trying to analyze. And we can monitor their trajectory using a combination of computer vision and the phenomenon I just described. And so in less than 60 minutes, our preliminary data shows that we can detect organisms that are susceptible, and we can differentiate them from organisms that are resistant. And using that, some pretty simplified hardware and software analysis, we can actually run this analysis in under 60 minutes for a wide range of different organisms. So the point I really want to make here is that we are set apart from the competition in that the electrophoto system quantifies cell death. And that is unprecedented in the existing companies that we know about and even emerging technologies that we're aware of. So that provides our company with major advantages compared to existing methods and emerging technologies, as I mentioned. So what I actually wish I had done on this slide is explained why is electroflow useful today. And I can speak through that now. So when we think about the benefit of time, but also the sort of phenotypic analysis, we are set apart from the competition in the sense that we can provide the clinically actionable result, the phenotype, without having to, without the trade-off of having to wait long periods of time. So what that means, right? What that means is that for a provider standpoint, the patients can be discharged earlier because they're being treated appropriately earlier. From the payer side, with the new paradigm in place where providers are no longer paid per fee for service, but rather a fee for value model, that means that the outcomes are improved, and so it's sort of win-win for both the payer and the provider. So with these technological advantages, I believe that Triton is well positioned to enter this market, which is there's really an immediate demand. So kind of a top-down, bottom-up approach to trying to size this opportunity. When we look at global spending today, it's well in excess of $7 billion to spend now on microbiological testing for diagnostics. Taking a different angle from how we think about our own business model, and with changes in the payment paradigm, shifting from fee-for-service to fee-for-value, we believe that our beachhead market, which includes sort of the academic medical centers, both in the United States and Europe, would amount to about $125 million. And there are some assumptions built into that we can talk about in Q&A. So some specifics about the business model. We believe that a direct sales approach is the best. So we've seen sort of a distributor model and a direct sales model among our competitors, the incumbent competitors. And what we believe is that having this direct channel is important in the sense that the needs of the clinical laboratory will shift seasonally, and that really relates back to sort of flu, actually. And so they like to know that there is sort of a reliable supplier on the back end, and we believe that would be undermined if we had to cut in the middleman and manage that. But taking a step away from that, really the model is pretty typical in the industry. It's razor blade. And we anticipate that a typical lab would have a lifetime value of about 5 years and $500,000 in total. So to date, the company has raised about $900 million in non-dilutive funding. Founders have contributed money to that as well. We've also been awarded grants from the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health. Looking forward, our key milestones are really to complete this commercial prototype that can be entered into preclinical and clinical studies. And we've got several key partners already lined up, SUNY Upstate Medical Center's Department of Surgery, and the MD Anderson Medical Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and the Texas Medical Center, where actually this company started. Sorry. Right. So in addition to myself, I have one other team member, Dr. Renzan. So the two of us kind of cover the fundamentals today, really around the engineering and the microbiology analysis. That's needed at present because we really are the ones driving the R&D side of completing our database of proprietary technology. And the team definitely has to grow, really in the areas of product development and business development. But what I'm really excited to share, very proud of our team, but the advisors are extremely helpful in moving our company forward. So we're surrounded by a great group of people who have decades of experience on all the aspects of this business, really needs, ranging from the clinical laboratory operation itself, the engineering side, as well as the sort of business landscape analysis, mergers and acquisitions. Really, this is a great team of advisors that we pulled together. And so, yeah, to summarize, Triton has a very unique technology that is strongly differentiated. There's an immediate need for this technology. And yeah, actually, with that, I will open it up to questions. I appreciate your time and attention. Thanks. Yeah, we conducted, we conducted with support from the National Science Foundation. We had it's called the IPOR grant. So we've conducted over 300 in-person interviews at hospitals, mostly in the United States, but also within the EU. We've sort of used that information when we follow on some more information on that question. We think of the landscape really as differentiated in terms of, or stratified by sort of academic medical centers that are treating sort of immunocompromised patient populations. That's really kind of where the need is greatest. And then from there, you see sort of the community-based hospitals where time is not so much of the essence, but the value for electrical flow would be more around operational efficiency.
What's your plan to how to get into the first sector and move into the next sector?
Yeah, that's great. So the plan in the first to penetrate the first sector is really around first launching kind of a research use only version of this technology. What we've learned is that many of these, we can call them kind of top tier medical centers around the United States. A lot of the leadership in those labs also engaged in research. And so that we believe that's a kind of an entry point to start building a database, start building confidence in the assay. Really historically looking at this market, technology is pretty slow to be taken up. So we think that the research route, one of the most successful companies in the space is Bruker with the MollyTop system, which is a rapid identifying technology. And really took them decades to build that database. So we think that we can move a bit quicker by focusing on those clinical scientists, partnering with them first, or focusing on them first. But branching out from there, what's really exciting about the technology, and I definitely did not discuss it in detail, but it's highly scalable. So we can use real manufacturing to print out large quantities of these sets. And they can be scaled up geometrically to allow for high throughput processing as well. And that sets us apart from accelerated diagnostics, which is one of the newcomers into the space. With that capability, we think that we can address the needs of places like LabCorp and Quest and Sonic. Those are the three top private lab service providers. And the driver really is around can you process a lot of samples quickly? It's about automation.
Question from Mark Cross. A couple questions actually. What are your product cost of goods and your expected reimbursement?
All right. So the first question. Right now, the product costs about $50 to manufacture. I believe we can drive that down. We actually were awarded a grant from the state of New York to partner with City Newington to manufacture our cassettes with a reel-to-reel method. So previously we were using batch handling, and that costs a lot more money. But there's a clear route to cut that number by a factor of 10 at least. Second question is a little more challenging to answer. So when you look at the reimbursement rates that are set by CMS today, by Medicaid, Medicare, that number is around $15 per sample for kind of culture-based antibiotics affordability test, which is low. And that's why actually a lot of lives still culture. But the changing payment paradigm, where we're shifting from fee for service to fee for value, I think is going to really open up the diagnostics industry, actually. And I think that Accelerate Diagnostics, is a competitor, but they've kind of demonstrated that's true in the sense that people are willing to pay. So that cassette costs something like $200 per sample and $225,000 for an instrument. And that's way outside the ballgame for CBT reimbursement. Yeah, I think so. I think that would make a lot of sense. I know Accelerate's working on that too. They may be a predicate technology. That's something we have to think about harder.
Could you just explain a little bit more about talk about your competitive advantage being focused on cell death versus cell growth? Could you explain that a little more?
Yeah, happy to. So I'll cover some. Yeah, so what's really happening in our cassette is that we're monitoring the interactions of a cell and an electric field. And so when organisms are exposed to an antibiotic, what we observed in the laboratory is that they undergo changes internally and externally in structures. So our system is configured in a way where we can monitor the electrical properties of the cell as a function of time, but also as a function of different frequencies, which allows us to kind of penetrate the cell, look at its interior compartment, and also look at its external shells. So non-destructively, we can do it for hundreds of thousands of cells at once. So in that analysis, nowhere do we need the cell to actually double or proliferate, or really even change shape. So when we looked at every single other company out there, that's effectively all they do is look at how long does it take for the cell to double, or does it double at all. So having to wait for them to proliferate, you've already built into your analysis a huge time delay. So we've eliminated that need by just monitoring how the cell's physiology is shifted directly. Hope that makes sense.
Is there an accuracy component to using one method versus the other?
That's a great question. We're actually trying to answer that now. Really, this is kind of an unprecedented approach to monitoring cell biology in general, actually, not just in microbiology. And so what our study right now is focused on correlating the measurements that we make, these electrical characteristics, directly to reference strains with known drug resistance profiles. And so we're hoping to glean from that, a measure of accuracy compared to the gold standard. But what may happen, I guess, anticipating or thinking more about your question, we may detect changes that happen that the culture methods don't. And in fact, Cindy and I from Sharnega were just talking about this before the pitch. What does that really mean clinically? It's something that still has to be determined by the research. Yeah.
What would you do with $1 million money?
Yeah, so really it's about finishing up that study what I just described, going through the MIC correlation study. So to pull that off, we need to manufacture more of our chips, hire some people on, and actually kind of build out the machine more to lock into alpha prototype specs and allow us to kind of complete that commercial version. In addition to some of those costs, we have legal costs that we want to cover around intellectual property. So that's kind of where that million will really be allocated is. Yeah.
Any other questions, judges?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Stephen Gardavidas, Center Health, and Curios, and First Training. Thank you so much. We're going to send the judges into deliberation room again. It's like almost smoking the next coat, right? You smoke the white or the black smoke. Yeah. Awesome. So we'll be announcing the winners for both brothel tracks in 15 minutes. So just follow Brenda to the conference side. See you back in 15. Bring some drinks. I'll take it. I'll take that. Is that trash? Yes, absolutely. We'll take flights of trash. You guys are here. So leave me. Leave it. you guys are so cute. I love it. Send me the picture. Please. Look at her, she's a professional. My carpet ladies. Okay, no, if it over. All check. All right. Big checks, so I got big checks. We allow big checks for walking. Because they are. They are walking. Yeah, they are walking.
Any matter of time. That'll insert an opinion.
All right, first things first, we gotta see who wins the AirPods games. All right, have to be present to win the Apple AirPods. Ooh, I know this name, Louie. Apple, Karen Apple. You have Apple phone. Hello, Louie. Yay. He's a ULP resident, guys. I'm here with Omar Green. Let me get a picture.
Emily, right here.
Ellen, right here. All right.
Beautiful.
All right, get your AirPods. All right, so we're going to start with the technology track. So for the technology track winner, drum roll, please. Transect. Right. Can we get some of the sponsors up here to get a picture?
Thank you.
With the big check?
Met that.
All right, here we go. We need a speech.
So first of all, thank you for SBDC and of course University last partner. Very excited and thank you. Surely we will do this one to keep moving forward, to enable more new possibility with the local medical company here. So I'm looking forward to working with you all. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Don't try to catch
Thank you very much.
Yes, you guys get it? We get the sponsors and get the pictures.
Just a whole crew.
Yeah.
I get a lot of love today.
Oh, we got Sarah too. Oh, Sarah, how are you?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Hold on, one more. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks you. Congrats.
Yeah, you can keep that.
Okay.
For the life science track winner, we have Center Health. We're gonna have to limit his speech.
I'll make it short.
Oh, this is working. Awesome. thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I kind of look back at everything that we've done. This has been a lot of years in the making. So, we appreciate the time that everyone put in. We appreciate the judges' time, and we thank you. And hopefully we will continue to, succeed and keep you guys posted on our success. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
No, Lindy.
We're back. We have another one more.
Dan, you can actually go on the website. There you go. Perfect.
All right. Congrats on
Thank
your
you
whole
guys.
team, your sister.
Sorry.
All right, for our AST winner, it's the special tracker we had sponsored by Shotenko. We have Triton Bio devices. Text them.
Three different boards. First time.
Yeah. There we go. We gotta get a picture. There you go. All right, speech.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Going
Well,
for it.
I'm stunned. The competition was incredible. No, it really was. And I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm very excited to join this community. Yeah, I feel very grateful for the opportunity to join everybody here and to share this company. We've worked on this for a while. The win feels good. And judges, thank you. I'd love to talk to you all offline to get your input. Always trying to grow, always trying to improve. And I look forward to joining folks here, other companies and incubators, so that they can also build with them and learn from them too. Thank you.
The price is right.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So on behalf of the SBDC TAC and UCI Applied Innovation, University Lab Partners, and all of our sponsors, thank you so much for coming. This is our first pitch launch grow. Next year as well, May. So please look out for our next competition. In the meantime, stay well, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. If you need anything, I'm here. Reach out to me anytime. Take care.
Thanks, Pat. That was great.